Voice of the Sea, learning from experts across the ocean.
Welcome to Voice of the Sea. In this episode, we're talking with canoe builders, navigators, and captains from Hawaii and Micronesia. These heroes of cultural renaissance share their stories, and we'll see how they are passing on knowledge to the next generation. First, we talk with Ka'iolani Murphy, one of the most knowledgeable traditional navigators in Hawaii and one of a select few guiding the Hokulea on her worldwide voyage, an unprecedented attempt at sailing a Polynesian voyaging canoe around the world using only traditional navigation techniques. Crew members on the Hokulea are all volunteers, sacrificing their lives to be part of the journey. Ka'iolani shares the stories that inspired her to choose this difficult but remarkable path.
How did you become involved in, with the Hokulea, but then also in becoming a navigator?
I guess for my introduction to the canoe, when I was in elementary school, the canoe, kind of like what we're doing now, Hokulea had come to the Big Island, that's where I'm from, Waimea, and our class got to go on like a field trip and got to go visit the canoe. And I was just, so stoked and amazed and just thought like, wow, this is, it was just huge to me, but it wasn't something that I thought like I could do, And so it wasn't really until I was at college at UH Manoa when Nainoa Thompson gave a talk at Kamakakua-Kalani, the Center for Hawaiian Studies, and I went to that presentation and I was just so like, his talks are really inspiring and just tells these stories that are just like kind of pulls you in. And when I saw that he was going to teach a class at Hawaiian Studies, I signed up for it because his name was in the schedule of classes, which is a very good strategy because he didn't actually teach the class when I was taking it. But I had a great teacher, Lili Kalaka Melehiva. She had voyaging experience. And it was really by taking that class that kind of opened the door to get me involved. Hokulea was in dry dock that fall and spring semester. And then we got to do sea trials to Molokai. And I didn't get sick, and most of the class did. So I think that's why they asked me if I wanted to help with like a summer program. And I've been with the Voyaging Society ever since. So just started out as just being really interested and just being inspired by those stories and wanting to learn more and learn from him. And so by taking the class, I was able to get kind of the real basics of the navigation. We learned the stars and all of that. And then by continuing on with PVS and kind of being hooked on sailing with Hokulea, I got to learn more from Nainoa. So he kind of mentored me along his own preparation for the Rapa Nui voyage, because I was working with him and helping him get ready, just by organizing his books and everything. But he would mentor me along the way. So it's kind of, I guess the timing worked out really well. And it's good that I didn't get sick. But yeah, so starting from back then and just, I've had the privilege to be on several of the deep sea voyages. And it's to me, it's a real, it's such a privilege. It is a kuleana in that sense of the word privilege is a kuleana too, that, we get to go on these voyages and, there may be 20, 100 people that want to be there in that spot that you have the opportunity to be in. So what is our give back? Yeah, and so I've been lucky to be able to teach now at the Honolulu Community College, teach voyaging classes there, kind of the classes that I took. But, doing things like this when we go around our islands and sharing with keiki that come, maybe you're going to inspire the next sailor, captain, navigator. So it's really, have the opportunity to go on a voyage. It's really about sharing what we had the privilege to learn along the way.
And so is this a career that you have? I know you're going to have to be away and you're teaching at Honolulu Community College, but you're, I imagine, not able to have a full-time job as you're sailing for months at a time.
Right, yes. So it's funny, a lot of sailors end up leaving their jobs so that they can go on a voyage because it's just that, it's that important, it's that special. And if their workplace doesn't understand that, then, to a lot of us, it's not worth being there, You want to be working with an organization or group that understands the value of the canoe and what the canoes stand for. But yeah, so like for myself, I hope I don't have to quit, but I would just try to take leave so that I can be gone for a month or 5 or year. And no, everybody that goes on voyages are volunteering, so it is kind of a challenge and try to figure out like how could it make work at the different ports that we're going to. And so like actually for this particular voyage, PVS, and we have a lot of people that we're working with, but the Pacific Resources for Education and Learning, the PREL, we have support from them in building like climate change education. And so along this voyage, when we go to places like in American Samoa, and if we went to Micronesia, we'd be able to connect in those places to be able to kind of build programs or help bring them information or collecting data along the way. And so I think part of it is just trying to tie into places that we can get resources from to be able to sustain some of us that are going to be on the whole trip. Yeah, but yeah, that's always a challenge, unfortunately needing to make money so you can pay bills and then be away for a month or more. A navigator would really walk around the entire canoe and just make observations of everything outside of us and that's affecting us and coming underneath of us. So, but the main part of the canoe that we would actually steer from is near the back. So if we can move aft. So yeah, this is our steering sweep, our hoi uli, and basically you can grab a hold if you'd like. You're either gonna pull it to one side or the other. So when you've got it all the way to the starboard side, then the canoe will go in kind of the opposite direction, go towards port. And so I guess it's like a rudder or a tiller.
It's quite heavy.
Yeah, it is. And it's nicely balanced on that pin there in that center. But in rough weather, sometimes 3-4 people may be trying to battle with this.
Are all the crew members then trained on how to steer?
Yeah, part of crew training is, everybody has to steer, except like I said, the navigator or the captain. But everyone that's on watch this is kind of one of the main things that you're going to have to do. So it really helps if the steersman is on it, like if they have a good feel for the canoe. Because if the steering is not so straight, then it makes it harder for the navigator to try to go back and think like, okay, we went, we were kind of going all over the place, so where are we, the kind of thing.
So when you give a direction to the crew in terms of navigation, how do you express that?
A lot of the terms we use are relative to the wind. So we might tell the steersman, okay, steer up, which means steer towards the wind, and then we'll tell them, okay, take a mark. So when they're standing here on the sweep, they're going to look around the horizon, and it could be in front or behind, and maybe it's a cloud. During the day it's hard if there's no landmarks, right? But maybe it's a cloud that's far away, and when the navigator says take a mark, you're going to try to stay on that course. So if you get off course, it's okay, I'm going to give you a new mark, or if you're changing where you want to go.
Personally for you, what do you think is the most challenging aspect?
I think as far as the navigation, the most challenging is really it's staying awake, especially you get between the hours of like 3 and 5 a.m. or 2 and 5 a.m. and that's times when you just want to close your eyes and go to sleep. But between that and then just the changing parts of like the weather and being able to read the swells, to me, like I still feel like, even I've been on several voyages, but I still feel like any time I get to spend on the ocean is good learning for me, because I still need to understand and build my relationship with being able to read the surface of the water. Because sometimes on a cloudy night or during the day, sun's high, that's all you have to rely on is the ocean surface. We do try to use the Hawaiian names of the different parts of the canoe as much as possible. So like hoi uli or the sail is la or pe'a. So if there are parts that are more common Hawaiian names, we do try to use that. And stars, we try to use the Hawaiian names of the stars that we do know. But there is another voyaging canoe that the Aha Punanaleo funded the building of a canoe, Hokualaka'i. And because it's Hawaiian language, immersion schools that they were trying to reach, their crew really tried to speak Hawaiian as much as possible on board.
Exploring Our Fluid Earth is the dynamic curriculum developed by the University of Hawaii's Curriculum Research and Development Group. The award-winning Fluid Earth and Living Ocean textbooks are now interactive and online. New activities, updated content, and a teacher community. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is now freely available. Find out more at exploringourfluidearth.org. Welcome back to Voice of the Sea. Next, we talk with Cesario Sudaluar, son of master Micronesian navigator Mal Piailung, who navigated the Hokulea on her maiden voyage to Tahiti in 1976. Mal's son Cesario continues the tradition by teaching wayfinding through the navigation training program at Palau Community College, where he has been teaching since 2008.
I understand that you've come here to Palau from Yap to teach the Palauan people about the non-instrumental ways of navigation.
That's right. It's not only the Palauans. We welcome everybody who is willing to learn and listen to the navigation skills. So I'm here not just for the Palauans, but they create this Micronesian Voyaging Society. It's for the whole Micronesian and whoever around the world that they would like to learn. When they first came to the class, I think they were thinking that they were going to learn in the maps or in the chart and look at the canvas and look at GPS or something like that. But instead, we start to learn the names of the stars, navigational stars, the storm stars, and all those natural elements that we use for navigation. So they were very surprised. And then we went out for practical sailing, and then they've seen all these kind of exciting things in the water, and they're so proud of it.
Is it difficult for people to learn?
Well, it's just a matter of how you put yourself into these skills. If you one of those who's really interested to learn and listen, well, maybe a couple years you should be sailing by yourself.
Do you still remember when you first learned?
I'm not sure, but I think I was maybe 6 to 8 years old. I started learning the skills from my father. And, I also attend elementary school, so when it comes for me to go to high school, I was so interested to go to high school instead of continue learning the navigation. But so I continue on to go to Saipan, and then my father came back from Hawaii and said, it's time to go home and learn the skills. So then I went with my father back home and started learning. Yeah, so this is Enlingalo Meisi. That's the name that my father named the canoe.
What does that mean?
Okay, I know you say, what does that mean? It's to show the purification of the fallen breadfruits. Our custom back home is your own breadfruit or my own breadfruit. And all the fruits that blown down by the wind, anybody can come and collect. It's not a problem. It's a nature cause that it throw all the breadfruits down so anybody can collect. Unless if you climb the tree and you pick breadfruit, then they will give you fine because you're climbing somebody's breadfruit and you don't ask permission.
I see.
But nature cause, it just blows everything down, then anybody can come and collect. It's not a problem. So they said his skills is just like a fallen breadfruit that he just went and collect from some other people to learn navigation. So that's why he named his canoe Anlingano Meishu means Anlingano means to show the purification. May means breadfruit. Meishu is it's those fallen breadfruits.
When you're teaching your students, is there something that you look for?
You know, by just talking to students, I can already tell who's scared and who's not. You know, by those people they are scared. They're gonna ask more questions about the ocean. How do you get out there? Is the water too rough, or of course sometimes the water gets too rough. Sometimes it's really calm. So I always tell them, it's not like on land you see, training. I hide under the roof so I don't get wet. But you're out there, expect what you expect to happen in the water. Raining or sunny, it's always your expectation. You're gonna be hot, you're gonna be cold. You're not just gonna sit around and do nothing, but you have to do some work if it's really rough, yeah. Kapsay Mataw. Kapsay Mataw is its meaning is the voice of the sea.
The University of Hawaii's Sea Grant College program focused on Hawaii's coasts and its communities through sustainable development, safe seafood supply, sustainable coastal tourism, hazard resilience, and healthy coastal ecosystems. Hawaii's Sea Grant.
You're watching Voice of the Sea. Next, we talk with Hokulea crew member Tim Gilliam, who is also captain and boat builder of Maui's Voyaging canoe, the Mo'okiha o Pi'ilani. When we visited Tim, he was finishing work on the Mo'okiha, which launched in July 2014. Tim explains how he trains the next generation of Voyaging canoe members, starting with harbor sails and building into longer and longer trips.
What's your vision for the mo'o?
Well, it'll be like a teaching tool, like a floating classroom.
How do you teach somebody to sail a 62-foot double hull?
Well, you start on the littler ones and you work your way up to the bigger ones. Work your confidence and your everything else, your knowledge, and then when you get to this point, it's kind of overwhelming, but you got to go out and do it a bunch, and then you get the hang of it. When they cut you loose with it, it's a big day.
I bet. What are some of the things that you need to learn?
How to care for it, and I think you always have to have an escape plan. You can't have everything all in one bowl. You always have to have a backup plan in case the first one, something goes wrong. You want to be able to always have an escape route, whether it's out in the open or in a harbor or, there's no engine, so it's a lot different than just turning the key and spinning the wheel and going where you want to go.
As a floating classroom, what do you think the kids get out of the experience of being on this canoe?
It's a lot of everything. It's math, science, culture. It's a little bit of all of that.
What qualifications would you need to have to be a crew member?
I know I was taught the crew selection starts at dry dock. So you got to come down and work. And then you need to do the water safety, swim tests. We do the swim test every year, even though you've done it. You just keep doing it. And then we have radios. We have a man overboard pole. We'll have a life ring. We'll have strobe lights. We'll probably have an escort boat not too far behind. And then you just constantly going through the safety almost every time you go out on it, And a lot of simulations, man overboard. You can't do that enough. You got to go through a lot of training before you get chose to go. And the more you know and the more things you can do, the more valuable you are. I wasn't really a boat builder. I was more fisherman and sail. I sailed a little bit with the mo'olele out there. I'll show you in a little while. Well, this is mo'olele. Mo'olele, that means leaping lizard. Don't stick your hands in it, she's all itchy. So she She was built the same year Hokulea was built.
Oh, wow.
Within a month. I learned to sail on this little canoe here, and the people that taught me aren't here anymore. So now it's my turn to do the same. Like how I got taught from the guys I learned from, perpetuate it back to the whoever, whether it's schools or young people, old people, whatever. Just give it back,
And that's your driving force.
Yeah. Just to perpetuate the culture, to give back what I've learned, so it's not all forgotten. That's why everybody that taught me has done it, and that's their story, that's my story as well. That's what the ancestors did. We sail on the same pathways or roads as they did, and it's kind of cool to do it in a different time with different materials, but it's the same, And it's just, I like to see more younger people do that. Because if you don't know where you came from, you won't know where you're going. Yeah, so like I said, you're sailing on this, you're sitting in this chair, there's nowhere to lay down, there's no, there's nowhere to, it's only sit
So
or
this
stand.
would be a sailing canoe as opposed to the voyaging canoe.
Well, they're both sailing canoes. This is like more coastal. We did sail it to Oahu 3 times, but not very often.
And with this, you could sit and paddle if you
Yeah,
needed.
you sit in here, and it's got the canvas sits in here. So you're sitting here, and it zips up around here. So not if, but when the wave hits, the water goes out, and then you're paddling. And then once you get outside the reef, you stow the paddles, and then open the sail, and away we go. And this is the pump. There's usually somebody pumping most of the way. You're constantly pumping. You got a couple pumps, you got a man overboard, and you can't really, there's not a lot of gear you put on here. A little bit of safety gear and some water, and that's about it.
What about the people that you sail with? You must be like a family.
Yeah, it's like even when new people, they get on the canoe and you go and you sail for like a long voyage, you're like you just met them and stuff. They're like friends and stuff, but then when you get off, you're like family.
Thanks for watching Voice of the Sea. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is the dynamic curriculum developed by the University of Hawaii's Curriculum Research and Development Group. The award-winning Fluid Earth and Living Ocean textbooks are now interactive and online. New activities, updated content, and a teacher community. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is now freely available. Find out more at exploringourfluidearth.org.
The University of Hawaii's Sea Grant College program, focused on Hawaii's coasts and its communities through sustainable development, safe seafood supply, sustainable coastal tourism, hazard resilience, and healthy coastal ecosystems. Hawaii's Sea Grant.
Healthy oceans are critical to our cultural, economic, and environmental sustainability in Hawaii. The ocean serves as a source of water, food, medicine, jobs, transportation, recreation, and energy. It controls climate and weather. Kosi Island Earth aims to share this ocean awareness by partnering with local scientists and educators to engage communities and schools in active science learning for an ocean-literate population. Kosi Island Earth is working to establish new avenues for connecting research scientists with educators and communities. Kosi Island Earth is enhancing the science and ocean literacy of our island residents and visitors. Kosi Island Earth is connecting scientific research, traditional knowledge, and ocean policy. Kosi Island Earth, bringing together university, government, research, and community partners to improve science education and ocean stewardship in Hawaii.